Following Tuesday's disappointment at Ewood Park, Blues boss Gary Rowett told his side not to dwell on defeat and to move on quickly, starting at Molineux on Sunday.
I spoke to the players a couple of games ago and just said, look, we're getting to the point now where, if we lose a game, we have to move on incredibly quickly. You're getting to that point where you can't dwell on anything. We're in a fantastic position still. If we win our game in hand, which obviously we won't see the benefit of that for a good few weeks yet, but if we were to win our game in hand, we're in the playoffs. Which if we'd have said that at the start of the season with the resources we got, we'd say it was an unbelievable season so far. So that's the position we're in, but it doesn't hide the disappointment when you've played so well on a Thursday night against Hull and then not performed in certain areas against Blackburn. But again, as we know, goals change the outcome of games, decisions change the outcome of games, and certainly from that point of view, it's been disappointing. But again, we're asking a group to put a performance in like Hull and then to go again and put another performance in, which is an almighty ask. But that's where we are. We're at that stage of the season where we've got to try and demand that. So disappointment about a lot of things the other night, but obviously again we've got to move on very, very, very quickly. Every game's a must-win. It's as simple as that. And whether that puts pressure on everything, that's the position you're in the table puts pressure on. You see that teams up there with far bigger budgets than us and resources are not handling it particularly well. So it's not an easy situation to be in, but we got everything to gain and nothing to lose, and that's what I've said to the lads time and time again. We've got to go out there. Probably that was the disappointment really with Tuesday night. We've got to go out there and almost feel like we can play with a little bit of freedom. And just perhaps once or twice, we haven't done that. But we start again, we go again, and Sunday's game is just another game where we've got to go there and try and win. As we know, sometimes a good away performance is be solid, nick a goal and go away with a 1-0 win. And we've done that quite a few times early in the season. We see against Brentford and against Leeds that when you're 1-0 up away from home, the other team have to push. You then get another opportunity to counter and score a decisive second, and that's what's happened. We've not managed to get that goal to change that part of the game. And as you say, recently we've lost a couple. I think it does change your mindset in as much as that. I'm not stupid enough to think that you just keep doing the same things and just hope that something changes. I think we're always trying to be more proactive than that. We always try to look at whether we need to do something different. But again, I think that, like we said, the position we're in, 2 points off the playoffs with a game in hand. We've found the recipe that's worked well over the course of a season. We've seen at home that sometimes if you're patient, things change. So we don't need to change that much. I think it's little subtle tweaks and little subtle changes you're looking for, whether that's a change of formation, whether that's a change of personnel, whether that's a change of attitude away from home, and all of those things of course come into the mix when you've lost a couple of games that after you've been fairly solid.
And the manager is well aware of what Sunday's match means to both his side and the Blues fans.
A huge game for the fans. We saw it last season. I think our first game we drew at Molineux, which is an excellent result for us at the time, on the back of an 8-0 defeat, as we all know. The second game, I think we went a goal down, came back and won the game 2-1. Great atmosphere, wonderful game for us. And then, as we know, we lost the home game this season. So this one's a big one. It's a big one for the fans, but it's a big one for us anyway. If you were going to anywhere now, it's a big game. I think the fact that it's a local derby just adds a little bit more spice to the mix, and I'm sure will only serve to give both teams added motivation. They've had a mixed time, I think. I've seen them play very well against the likes of Derby, and I've seen them play sort of well in halves against other teams, not so well in other halves. So I'm sure they'll probably say the same about us. Obviously lost some key attacking players, which I think any side would there'd be an impact. I think you've seen it with ourselves that losing Damari occasionally away from home just changes a little bit of how you play. changes a little bit about that dynamic. So, I think that they're in a bit of transition, but I think it's only 2 or 3 wins that can take you out of that transition to be a team still pushing for the playoffs at this stage of the season. I still think there's a lot of teams in that middle of the table that could go and win 3 or 4 games on the spin and still be in the mix. And it's going to be another important game.